Okay, 7th graders, y'all are going to learn lesson 1.5 about adding and subtracting. Really, we're going to talk about just adding, but adding positive and negative numbers. Okay? Positive and negative numbers. So there's 3 rules that I want you to learn today. 3 rules. Number 1, if the numbers that you're adding have the same sign, meaning that if they're both positive numbers, 5 plus 7, you just combine them to get 12. 5 plus 7 is 12. Both are positive, 5 plus 7 is 12, right? If they're both negative, then you also combine their values. Negative 5 plus negative 7 is negative 12. When you add 2 negative numbers, it becomes more negative. That's what this first rule is about. Okay? So if all of the numbers that you're adding are negative numbers, the value is becoming more and more negative. Okay? Now, the second one. If they have opposite signs, one is positive and one is negative, then you have to take away, or you have to cancel out the amount, and the remaining amount is the answer. I'm going to give you some examples for this, but that's basically what we're talking about with this second one. That positive numbers and negative numbers cancel each other out. And so if the greater value is a positive value, then you're going to be left with a positive amount at the end. If the greater value, if the greater absolute value is negative, then you're going to be left with a negative number at the end. A negative answer. Okay? And then finally, in this last one, if you have a situation where there's 2 negative signs in a row, negative, 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 negative 12, that just becomes a positive, positive 12, or plus. Negative, negative 3 really means the opposite of negative 3. What's the opposite of negative 3? Positive 3. So it becomes just plus. The 2 minus signs cancel each other out. Or if you have a problem like this, 5 minus negative 12. That just becomes 5 plus 12. So 5 minus negative 12 is really 5 plus 12, which is 17. Okay? Let's go through some more examples of this. So let's add some paper here. And let's look at a different way of looking at this. So let's say that we have 2 plus negative 5. Okay? We're adding a positive and a negative number. Now, think of it this way. These 2, I'm going to represent with plus signs. And the negative 5, I'm going to represent with minus signs. Okay? So there's 5 minus signs and 2 plus signs. Now, when you have positive and negative, each positive cancels out a negative. Or each negative cancels out a positive. They cancel each other out. So 2 of these cancel out 2 of these. And what we're left with is 3 negatives. Negative 3. So 2 plus negative 5 is negative 3. Okay? Which one has the bigger absolute value? Is it negative 5 or 2? Which one has the bigger absolute value? Sam?
Negative 5.
Negative 5 has a bigger absolute value. That's why our answer is negative at the end. Because the negative 5 is farther away from 0 than 2. Okay? So the one with the bigger absolute value is going to tell you whether the answer is positive or negative. Let's say that you have 4 plus negative 1. Well, if you have 4 positives and only 1 negative, then these are going to cancel each other out, and you're left with 3 positives. Right? So it's one way for you to picture what's happening when you add positive and negative. Okay? What about if you have some bigger numbers? So let's do this example. Negative 12 plus negative 31. What will we do in this situation? Would we find a difference, or would we add them and combine them together? Kennedy. Add them together or subtract the amounts? Add them together, because they're both negative. The answer is going to be more negative, isn't it? So what's the answer? Add these in your head. Asa?
Negative 43.
Right. Negative 43. Yep. What would we do with this one? In this example, would we add these or subtract these? Would we add these, or would we find the difference? Emily?
Add them?
Well, one is positive and one is negative. Which one has the greater absolute value? Laura?
Negative 54.
Negative 54. So we're going to have to find the difference between these two and then make our answer negative. Now, how do we find the difference? Garrett? We have to subtract them, yeah. We have to do 54 minus 18 to find the difference. Now, could we do 18 minus 54 to find the difference? No. You always have to use the bigger absolute value minus the smaller absolute value to find the difference. So the bigger absolute value is negative 54, isn't it? We have to take away 18 from the 54 to find the remaining amount. So, how do we subtract these? Let's go back to 3rd grade or 2nd grade. What do we have to do with these numbers? Can we do 4 minus 8? No, not to find the difference. What do we have to do? Come on, people. Think back. Max?
You cross out the 5.
Yep.
You cross out the 4. You put a 14 above the 4. And you put a 4 above the 5.
Good.
And then you subtract the 8 from the 14.
Good.
And the 4 is there as a reminder that you need to subtract the 1 from the 4, not from the 5.
Correct. Yep. So we take away a 10, break it into ones. So now we have 14 ones. Take away 8 ones. And then 4 tens minus 1 10. Is our answer positive or negative? It's negative 36, isn't it? Because negative 54 is the bigger absolute values. Okay? Now, what if we have one more example? Oh, we did one like that. Let's do 16 minus negative 15. 16 minus negative 15. What does that mean? Johnny.
Negative equals 5,
Good. The two minus signs in a row cancel each other out, so it becomes just plus. Okay? 16 plus 15 is 31. Positive 31. Okay? So, you're going to do an assignment on this tomorrow, but there's some examples and notes for you on adding integers.